Hopefully you saw the video Dan and I did with a very nice chap from the Bar Standards Board. The Bar Standards Board, of course, being the regulator for barristers and the organisation you make complaints about us to. Similarly, there's the Solicitors Regulation Authority that deals with solicitors in the same way. But what if you had a problem with a judge? What if you wanted to complain? Is there anybody you can complain to? Yes, there is. There is the Judicial Conduct Investigations Office. So who can you complain about? Generally, it's most judges. It's from like deputy district judges to circuit judges, high court judges, court of appeal judges, all the way to the top, all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary. You can even complain about the Lord Chief Justice. Um, the office doesn't deal with complaints about magistrates. They go to the local committee. Also doesn't deal with complaints about certain types of tribunal chair. There you write to the sort of president of the relevant tribunal chamber. But pretty much every other judge, and that includes things like coroners, what we call masters. They're the specialist judges in the High Court who deal with all the procedural stuff, and that is worth a video, I think, because that's a really interesting topic. What can you complain about? Well, it's judicial misconduct, and that's not the same as judges just getting things wrong, things that you would deal with by way of appeal. So it's stuff like bullying, harassment, using inappropriate language, especially racist or sexist language, losing temper, picking on one person, being abusive to witnesses. Also covers things like misusing your judicial status. So, if you're in a row with your neighbour and they say, you'd better not mess with me, I'm a deputy district judge, not that they ever would, of course, then that would, that would be reportable. Also, judicial comments outside of court. So, in the media, on social media, anything like that, if it's appropriate. I mean, judges, can have opinions on things, especially, a lot of judges are part-time and, they have real lives. You can also report for things like delays to actually dealing with orders. If you've got to wait an unusually long time to sort of, get a decision or get a judgment. Although, the way the courts are at the moment, even with the best will in the world, things are taking a very long time. Also, falling asleep in court. We've all done that. No, we haven't. What you can't complain about is like judicial decisions. That you didn't like the result. You can't complain about whether you thought the judge gave one side or the other more time. You can't complain about the admissibility of documents. Can't complain about costs. Basically, anything that you could, deal with by way of appeal. I mean, and that includes things like bias, by the way. You might think bias was misconduct, but the office doesn't deal with accusations of bias. That is left to the appeal court. But hopefully you can sort of see the distinction there. It's things where, it's going beyond what you would expect from a judge, even if you disagreed with their sort of interpretation of the law or their sort of reading of the facts or their assessment of the evidence. It's things, well, it's gone beyond that. This is effectively bringing the judiciary into disrepute. Who can complain? Well, anybody affected, really. Obviously, if you were a party to a case or a witness in a case or, a lawyer in a case. But when it comes to things like comments in the media or, actions outside of the courtroom, like misusing judicial status, then pretty much anybody can complain. How do you complain? Well, you contact the office and you give them as much information as you possibly can to assist them in assessing your complaint. So if, for instance, it's outside of court, it's something on social media, a screenshot of the tweet or a copy of a clipping from a local newspaper. If it was misusing judicial status, you'd explain, how, when, why that happened, why you think that was the case. Give as much detail as you possibly can there. I actually did make some notes here. I should actually probably read them. If they're abusive or bullying or anything like that. Just basically so that the office can identify what the complaint is and then go back to the judge, and the judge knows what you're complaining about. You can also complain about things like not disclosing sort of criminal convictions, stuff like that. What about things that actually happened in court? Well, you identify the date, time, and location of the hearing. And also, if it's something like, what was said in court, then give as best as you can the actual time it was said. Now, if it was something like it was said around 10 o'clock, what will happen is the office, they only listen to stuff for 1 hour. They actually pull the tapes, but they only listen for 1 hour. So if you say, I believe it was around 10 o'clock, they'll start listening from 9:30 till 10:30. If you say it was sometime before lunch, probably about an hour from lunch, they'll start, listening from 12 till 1. So, you need to narrow it down as much as you can, because, if you get it wrong, they might just miss it. You can also provide details about anybody else who might have useful information, and the office may contact them. So there you go. So what will happen after you've done all that? They will investigate, and then they will report back as to their findings and their decision. Sometimes they'll just dismiss a complaint. Sometimes they might say you've just not given enough information for them to pursue the complaint. But if they find a complaint is proven, they have a number of options, and that's everything from sort of rebukes, formal warnings, all the way up to recommending dismissal. However, after all this has been gone through, what if you are not happy with actually what the office has done? Who do you complain about? Can you complain about them? Yes, you can. You can complain to the Judicial Appointments and Conduct Ombudsman. I don't know if that's worth a video of its own. Let's just see how we get with this one so far. Anyway, if you found that vaguely useful, please consider clicking the like button, sharing, subscribing, all that sort of thing, and see you next time.